Half the food that is grown or produced on this planet is wasted. It doesn't even make it to our tables. Yet over 1 billion people on this planet do not have access to food, suffer from food insecurity or food poverty or malnourishment. We waste over 1 billion tons of food worldwide every single year. And in Leeds, in 2012, over 22,000 people were officially diagnosed as malnourished, including children. And I decided that I wasn't going to stand for this anymore. I just don't understand why we allow this to happen. So I decided that I was going to stick a finger up to the system and that I was going to do something about it. The system is set up to exploit humanity and the environment. So I was going to do something in Australia. I was traveling around working as a chef and working on farms, and I thought, I'm going to do something about this. And one of the team leaders that was working on the farm with said to me, you can't change the world unless you change the hometown first. And so then that's when I realized I had to come back home to Leeds. So I came home and I created a company. It's not a charity, it's a company called the Real Junk Food Project. And we said that we were going to take this food and then we were going to allow people to eat it. The most productive way of transferring the energy from the food is by feeding people, not bins. And then a week after creating the company, we opened this. This is the UK's first pay-as-you-feel cafe that uses only intercepted waste surplus food. And pay-as-you-feel, it's not about getting a free meal or getting some free food. It's about valuing people and the food, the resources, time, energy that goes into creating this, and giving back what you feel it's worth. And I'd seen this concept being successful around the world, especially in Australia. Shanaka and his team at Lentil As Anything, they'd done it really, really well. But we decided that we were going to evolve the concept. And we were going to allow people to pay whatever they wanted. So we literally have people come into the cafes and give them back anything they want, their time, their energy, their skills, financial donations if they wish. We've got people washing the windows. We've got people washing up, sweeping the floor. We've had people rewiring the electrics, somebody that could afford to pay, but instead they rewired the electrics in the cafe for us. So that means the business didn't have to incur a cost. They could have quite easily paid money, but to us, we didn't have to find that money from anywhere. But it was more valuable to us for them to do that rather than actually giving us the money. So we intercept food from anywhere and everywhere. We get food out of supermarket bins. We get food from allotments, food banks, town markets, you name it, anywhere and everywhere. People ring me up and email me all the time saying, can you come and collect food? We always say yes. We use our own judgment. As human beings, we have the power to know whether this food is fit for us or not. What's the first thing everybody does when they think the milk is off? They go to the fridge and they smell it. But yet we don't apply this same concept to all food. We are manipulated by these expiration dates. Supermarkets know it's a very, very powerful tool for us to just see this date, throw this produce in the bin, and then go back and consume again. But this food is still perfectly edible. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll show you some interceptions. 15,000 cupcakes. Yeah, that's my co-director, Sam. He wasn't very happy about it either. We got asked by BBC Children in Need to go down and basically clear up their mess. They were doing something, a world record attempt for the longest line of cupcakes. And they said, no other third sector organisation or charity would go down and clean up this mess. And they asked the Real Junk Food Project to go down. So I travelled down in my van to Gloucestershire Airport and witnessed this atrocity. They didn't even want to get me on radio. They was like, don't allow him to get on radio and speak his mind. And I stood there and I was like, I don't see cupcakes. I see flour. I see sugar. I see eggs. I see labour. I see water and resources gone into this just to be wasted. If we wasn't there, that would all gone in the bin. So afterwards, we packed up the van. I stopped some in Bristol. I stopped in Birmingham and dropped them off. Within 24 hours, then all them cupcakes were gone. I fed them to people instead of feeding them to bins. Thank you. It gets worse. We deal with food that is not in mainstream media. Everyone knows about supermarkets wasting food. They waste a lot of food. Them guys are criminal, what they do. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with what they get away with. But we don't deal with supermarket waste whatsoever. We wasn't going to allow them to pass on their responsibilities to us and get away with what they get away with, so we just said no to them. But we deal with a lot of food waste, which no one even hears about. Food banks are the worst. A lot of people think that food banks do a lot of good, and they do socially, but environmentally, they waste a lot of food. Their internal policies only allow them to keep food for certain periods of time, even if it's within date, and then every week they come down to their cafe and they give me food. A couple of weeks ago, they turned up with 71 kilo bags of sugar, and I just turned around and went, why do you just feed this to people? Why are you giving it to me? Well, we can't, because we've had it for longer than 3 months, but it's okay for me to feed it to the general public, but it's not okay for them to do it. This is what baffles me. 610 kilos of chocolate, 6,100 chocolate bars. A company in Leeds contacted and said, the date on these, 24th of July 2014, they'd gone past its best before. They was going to give these to intoxicated students during Freshers Week in September in Leeds, but they'd already expired. So instead, they give them to us to feed to the general public. We're still eating them now. There's still bars of chocolate in the cafe now. And it's 7, 8 months later, but they wasn't fit enough for students during that period of time. We laugh, but this would have gone to landfill, this would have gone to waste. Think of all the energy and time and resources that's gone into making this food. The system is completely corrupt. So the pay-as-you-feel concept has been incredibly powerful for us. We've had a guy who walked into our cafe and he said to me, he had no money, no electricity and no food, and he lives in a high-rise flat just opposite the cafe, and he was on the verge of suicide. He was potentially going to end his life. And he came into the cafe by mistake and just stumbled up on us, and we gave him some food and sent him on his way. He's still with us now. I saw him a couple of days ago, and he tells people that this concept saved his life. If it wasn't because of us being there, he would have ended his life. And I'm going to imagine there's so many people in the same situation that are suffering because of this corrupt, greedy, evil system that we all abide by. So in our first year, we opened December 2013. In the first year, we took 23 tons of food we stopped from going to waste. We fed over 10,000 people in that small cafe, only 26 people at a time. We made over 12,000 meals. And we said, we had something powerful here. We knew we had something incredibly powerful, but how were we going to spread it around the world? We didn't want to franchise it. We didn't want to become the McDonald's of food waste. So we said, how are we going to do this? Who on earth is going to be crazy enough to come and do what we do? I just had a baby boy, as you can hear, Joshua, and some of my co-directors were in their final year at university, and some of my other directors had children and full-time jobs, and we were giving all of our time and all of our energy to do this completely altruistically. We've never, ever taken any money out of this whatsoever, and we just do this because it's the right thing to do. And we said, how are we going to let this happen? So we was advised to let it happen organically, and in 13 months of being open, we've had hundreds of inquiries from all over the world. Potentially, there's 110 new cafes about to open. We have between 25 and 30 cafes around the world right now. I reckon by the end of this year, there'll be at least 250 cafes all around the world operating on a pay-as-you-feel basis, intercepting waste food on the scale that we're doing here. Thank you. Thank you. But the thing is, we don't want to be doing this. You really think I want to be going out every hour of the day, spending time away from my family, driving around, picking up food because of some nonsense expiration dates? Our concept, our design, is made to put ourselves out of business. We don't want to be here facilitating sheer amounts of food waste in 10, 15, 20 years' time. We want to be teaching the next generation of children to grow up and not depend on food banks, and not depend on pay-as-you-feel cafes, and understand where food comes from, be more associated with food. So our model is literally to put ourselves out of business, but we cannot do that alone. Every single person in this room can help us do it. Your actions, the way that you buy food, how we handle food, how we handle our food waste is going to have an impact. Every single conscious decision that you make will have a negative or positive impact on our environment and our society. Please do the right thing. My name is Adam Smith, and I'm the Real Junk Food Project, and we are going to really feed the world. Thank you.